I'm too tired of watching movies in general, but more so, I'm just not someone who likes watching kids' movies. The last one I watched was Goat. I did not like it that much, and I think I'm just too old for kids' movies, but Toy Story I make an exception for. But even with that franchise, I feel like it's already had its nice conclusion with the third movie. When the fourth one came out, I thought, okay, still good. And the ending, it made me think, okay, like this is it. This is the end. Nope. They came out with the fifth one. I thought it was going to be a lazy cash grab this time around because from the trailers and the clips and the marketing, it seems like Woody is back and he's with the gang again. And like I thought they were going to recycle the plot in the first movie where Jessie is now like in Woody's position where she's like jealous of the iPad who was like the villain in this movie and like being scared of replaced. I thought it was gonna be some corny stuff like that. I am glad to say that I was wrong. Like some of it I'm kind of spot on, not really. They play this in a way where it's actually entertaining and it is something worth investing into. I think Toy Story 5 was a really good movie and not just catered for kids. I think this is a movie for anyone. But before I get into spoilers, I'll just talk briefly about what made this movie so good. So, well, yes, it is mainly about Jessie. She is the focus in this movie. By the way, I will say, like, Woody and Buzz are still like the main characters here, but they're not really in the spotlight as much as Jessie is in. And not only that, something you'll notice in this movie is that all the other toys are kind of benched and sidelined. While yes, like in other movies, they don't play much of a big role, but they did have like their tiny bits here and there where they do stuff. But for example, like Mrs. Potato Head, I don't think she has any speaking lines in this movie. Like she is there, but she doesn't talk. And like you'll have like some dialogue here and there from some of our favorites like Rex, Slinky, and like Mr. Potato Head. But that's it. And like the main character from the previous movie, Forky, he doesn't really get much to do. And that's fine. Like I'm not saying that's like a complaint or anything. I think it would have been a tall order to include all of these characters, have them do something with what they wanted to achieve here. I think it was plentiful. Like it's still nice to see, those characters again. But if you're looking forward to, seeing them be goofy and like have some fun and action, you won't get that here. But I think what they did here was good enough. And I really did like this movie. I really do. So yes, so from the trailers you can see that Bonnie has maybe moved on with toys. While she's still playing them, she gets a new thing to play with. An iPad called Lily. It's a Lily pad. It's like the Leapfrog tablet basically. So it's not like cutting edge technology, but it has like you can like message people if they have like other lily pads, so it's kind of a mix of like the Leapfrog tablets and like social media in general, but more like family friendly safe. It's like YouTube Kids or whatever, I don't know. And so she gets this tablet and she is playing with it all day. And the toys, she forgets to play with them now because she's like a screen slave to it. And Jessie notices, along with the other toys, they notice every kid is on their tablet. Like you look around in every window, they are on their tablet. They're just glued to it. And I feel like that reflects kind of the real life, which is something that I liked about is that I think everyone is glued to their screens now. Like even for me, like I have a problem. I am glued to my screen all day. I'm glued to it. You guys right now as you're watching this, you're glued to your screens. It's a really good way how they reflect real life, and they wanted to integrate a lesson in this movie while making an interesting plot of how like Jessie develops. Like as she is the main character, she goes through the struggle of like when I say so earlier I said that I thought they were going to recycle this kinda, but for Jessie it's a bit more personal and at the same time a bit selfless. So with like the first movie, Woody was so worried that he was going to get replaced by Buzz with Andy. But then in this movie, Jessie is still worried that she will get replaced. Like, it's personal for her, but she's also accounting for all the toys that have been replaced. Like, she sees, these other toys that, are forgotten. and she's worried, and she's saying, technology is to blame. You guys shouldn't be, you're ruining this for toys. But for Jessie, it's more personal for her because we've explored this in the second movie, but here they dive deeper into her backstory where her previous owner, her original owner, Emily, she played with her and then she gave her away into donation. And, she is worried that she's going to face that same abandonment by Bonnie. So that's like personal for her, but it's also, she views this for like everyone, that she is worried for all the toys that they will eventually get replaced. But in terms of that, you also have a character like Woody, who they've acknowledged his development in the previous movie, how they closed off his arc. He's also moved on, that he's not really a toy anymore, or he has served his purpose as a toy. He can no longer be with Bonnie, or he's just moved on with his life of being played with, when that was just kind of his overall, that felt like it was his purpose. But now he's out there, saving like abandoned toys. And he's also, this was a really good line, by the way. He told Jessie, toys are for play, but technology is for everything. And I think that is so true. Like, while this is catered more for kids, like this is a deep line for kids, I think for like adults like my age, I think it's catered to where, there are some things, like it's such a deep line that Woody does bring up, and it's really true. But anyways, about Woody, I like how they don't really like have him be in the main spotlight where he's back with the gang and I'm in the party now. It's like, no, like he is still a main character here. He's not someone where it's like, oh, yeah, I gotta be with them again. Like, he is only here to help Jessie because she needed his help. And once he's done his part, he then goes back with Bo and does his thing that he was doing, when he left the gang after Toy Story 4. Like, I like how they kept some things consistent like that. I'm just glad that they acknowledged previous movies, and they were able to compile all of that together to build a really good movie for a Toy Story franchise. Like, I can't stop glazing how good this film was. I just think this is a movie that everyone can enjoy. Like, if you're like, okay, maybe if you're like an old, like 50-year-old dude or whatever, and you're watching this because your daughter or son wanted to watch it, yeah, maybe it might not be that enjoying. But I think this is good for like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, where we are just glued to our tech, we are glued to social media, and that this movie kind of gives us a bit of a wake-up call. So I just think this is something that everyone should watch. Like, I am not someone who would really, promote or encourage people to watch a kids' movies because, no one my age would want to watch it, but I think you should, and I think you would enjoy it. Now, let's talk about spoilers. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Some of the tiny complaints that I have in this film, and this was something that I've suspected earlier on. So, Woody and Buzz, they're back together, right? But you see, both of them, they are kind of having their own motives, where Woody is just solely there to help Jessie because she needs him. And he knows he's just going to do this one thing and then go back with Bo. And Buzz here, he is kind of he's kind of been reduced to a simp now. Well, I don't want to say that because this is something that they've developed in the past, like 2 movies. So this wasn't like a horrible thing. But he's just not really cool anymore. Like, he's just more focused on trying to propose to Jessie. Like, he's kind of like Jonathan in Stranger Things. Like, he's just so, like, focused on that, so gung-ho about it. While also, like, concerned of, like, for the safety of Jessie because, she gets lost along the way. But he's not really concerned about, like, the purpose and, like, the usefulness of toys anymore, that's, like, the big premise of this, where Jessie is worried that, all the toys are going to be replaced. But here, he's more worried about how to ask out Jessie or how to propose to her. And while you have those two, like, dealing with those two, like, while you have Buzz dealing with that and Woody just trying to be just a helpful dude, they clash over on who's deputy, like, who's got the, like, the higher authority, or who's got the experience on how to handle things when it deals to, like, confronting, like, Lily or whatever. Like, I just thought that was a bit like it felt like they were kind of regressing what they were in the first movie. Like, yes, they do kind of banter a little bit here and there, but they also have a lot of respect for each other, and I just don't think that was explored as much in this film like it was in previous films. Like, and they don't like overdo it a lot, but they do it quite a bit. Like, but more so, I'm just kind of upset that Buzz wasn't as cool and like, charismatic as he was in previous movies, because here there's a side plot where they have a bunch of buzzes. Like, they're not the same buzzes from Toy Story 2, because these are the buzzes that are starting to learn English, which this is another complaint that I have, but I'll bring it up later. They get washed up on a shore because a cargo of buzzes like crashed, and they are trying to find Star Command, and eventually they all get to, the house where Jessie was lost in, and they like, at the end, they do something really, really cool, and it just kind of overshadows like the main Buzz that we have. And I guess this is kind of unfair to say that, because this is a Buzz that is outdated. The Buzzes you see here, they got like cooler gear. Well, that's not like explored as much until the very end, but they are like clearly the newer Buzzes. They've got some like, cutting edge technology. So I could see that they would do cooler stuff. But I was hoping that our main Buzz would do some cool things too. Like, he does have his moments, but they're minuscule in this movie. But again, I get that this movie is supposed to center more around Jessie, which I gotta say, this movie made me like Jessie a lot more. I mean, I still liked her in the previous movies, but she didn't really have much of a role to play, in my opinion, other than the second one. But they did a really good job with her here. That's just kind of like a complaint that I had with the Buzz and Woody thing. But another complaint that I have about these Buzzes is, like, well, I guess it's not really a complaint, but like I said, this is a movie that was able to acknowledge things that happened in previous movies. So in the second movie, we had a bunch of Buzzes, right? And they have no problem with like, coming alive and knowing that they have their own consciousness or whatever. But the Buzzes here, it feels like they just got born. Like, when they get out the package, they're just like trying to learn their words, like star, command. Like, they're like finishing each other's sentences, and like there are moments where they had to like play dead, like Andy's coming, like that thing, and like because someone like walks by, and then after they leave, the Buzzes wake up and they're just like, wait, why did we do that? Like, it's a little weird, because I thought toys just they just have a consciousness of like it's just there, but here it just kind of feels like we're seeing how toys get their consciousness with these Buzzes. But the Buzzes we've seen in previous movie, there was no issue there. Like, I thought that was a bit odd. I think that was played for like a cheesy comedy bit that. When it lands, but there are moments where it doesn't. Something that I noticed, something that I just thought, like, it's like they don't do it too much, but they do show the Buzzes quite a bit. But it doesn't really go anywhere until the end, where they do cool stuff. Like, that's when it feels like, okay, finally, now we're getting something, with the Buzzes, where they do play a big role in how, Bonnie here makes a friend. Oh, excuse me, I should probably mention. So, Bonnie, she is like glued to this tablet, not because it's just, a tablet like being, like, grabbing like kids' attention. She thinks that this is a way for her to make friends. And it's heartbreaking to see that, because, while she thinks that this tablet will be able to help her make friends, this tablet does more, hurtful things to her than it was supposed to intend. Because when she has her first sleepover with the girls in her dance team, they're just on their tablets. They don't talk to each other at all. And there's a moment where they do cyberbully Bonnie, and that plays a pivotal moment where Lily realizes, oh shoot, maybe I'm not the best thing for Bonnie. And then, later she like throws herself away, and the toys acknowledge that there is a way for her to, help Bonnie make a friend, just not in the way that it was doing originally. And this is where, like, Jessie learns that, because when she gets lost, like, she ends up in like someone else's house, this like random like quirky girl who might be able to be friends with Bonnie because of her silliness, because of her creative imagination. Like, she also had this thing with technology too. She's also glued to it, but she's also facing that same issue where she's not able to make friends with, her laptop or whatever it is, like Tiger, Lily, whatever, I don't know. I think they're all the same technology, but anyways, like, they have that going on too. And with these other, like, you see these other side characters here, Smarty Pants. Apparently he helped forgot her name. The girl that they get lost in, like, her house. Like, this toy helped her learn how to take a shit and all that. Like, he is also compelling too, because we get to see that while Jesse is, solely blaming technology for how Bonnie can't make friends and how toys are losing their usefulness, technology can also be abandoned too, and they do have an attachment to their owner. Jessie sees that, and she realizes, maybe technology is not as bad as it seems. And she gets along with that idea while also growing and developing to the point where there was a time where I was, a toy and I was there for their childhood. Maybe that time might be over, and, I'm not, I can't control when they should give up on me or when they shouldn't. Like, this is personal for Jessie, but she is able to learn and grow and move on with that. I think how they played all of this in this movie was excellent. Like, with a few flaws here and there, I just thought they did really well with what they wanted to show in this movie. Like, this was such a compelling plot. Like, they show that technology isn't something to always rely on. They show that technology can be good for, like, with a balance of how it is utilized. They show how, toys in this case, like they are there for a certain time period before they have to move on. Like, same thing how Woody did. I would not mind if they make a sixth movie. They just need to make it as good. Like, what they're doing right now, they just continue with that. And I don't think the Toy Story franchise will be, like, being milked to its, like, blood. Like, if they're able to make good sequels like this, then this is something worth continuing. Like, I wouldn't mind watching this until I turn, like, freaking 30. Because the next movie is probably going to come around when I turn 30, unfortunately. But that's all I gotta say. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.